Hello YouTube, this is Confusis here, aka John. I'm just playing some Minecraft. Just to get out of the way first, I will be playing with the Minecraft sound off just so I can listen to music. We all know how YouTube, doesn't like copyright music, so to be safe, Minecraft will be quiet. Sorry. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. If you've missed this stream and you're watching this after the fact, go onto our forum and you'll be able to find the forum thread in regards to this particular thing. So, the aim of this particular video is going to talk about some CS stuff, possibly some Computex goals for the small form factor network. Yeah. Also, what I'll be doing in Minecraft, since that's what I'm doing on the screen, is building a wall. So on our Minecraft map, as you can see in your bottom left corner, sorry, bottom right corner, that's our map. Now, every village that we've found so far, we've built a wall around just to protect the villagers, and because we can, really. So I found this village a couple of weeks ago and then flying around with my elytra, and it's time that I put a wall around it. So CES this year in Las Vegas was interesting. It was the first time that we had someone from our organisation going and reporting on it. Thanks, Joe. And because of the way the other tech media organisations work, the previous years we've had to rely on scant public. How would I put it? Very little information was released on small form factor stuff because everyone just doesn't care about it. They always care about the big ATX boards or the big cases, or the kind of size stuff that people can actually live in. So having someone there this year enabled us to basically see exactly what we wanted to see, and it's worked quite nicely. We had quite a lot of exclusives, and we got in first with some manufacturers to see them before some of the other major media organisations, which was fantastic, really. So, yeah. Chicken. So first up at Computex this year, we went and saw Silverstone. So that's something we lined up about maybe a month or two before. Did I say Computex? I meant CS. We lined that particular meeting up beforehand, just because the Silverstone, since the early days, has been very much focused on our little niche of computing, and to support them with that, because they support us, we basically decided to go ask and see if we could get, I'll rephrase that, decided to try and get the first look at all their new products, because media coverage of their stuff in the past has been pretty mediocre. It's the most common stuff that we saw in the last few years was Linus Tech Tips, basically why did Silverstone even bother video series, which is really disappointing and not at all supportive of Silverstone. So yeah. So interestingly, we've been in contact with Silverstone since middle of last year, early last year, when we got some review samples of their SFX ranges, which James, aka Iberphobia, got to review. But this year they had a surprise for it, which was the 300 watt, I believe, TFX power supplies, which is we didn't know that was coming. Nobody said anything about it. We haven't seen any media releases. There's no press releases. There's no hints at it. On top of that, just had just more information on the a few of the lesser known SFX power supplies they do, and some little accessories which I really want to get to try. So there's like remote controls for your computer, and one was a dual M.2 card. One slot connects directly to your serial ATA, and the other one connects to your PCI Express bus, which goes a long way towards removing wires from your computer, which means you can go smaller. Yay! So welcome aboard, everybody. If you've got any questions, just leave them on the chat in YouTube. I'll be happy to answer them, as long as I'm not breaking NDA on something, for obvious reasons. Just keep in mind, everybody, this Minecraft server is available to our gold subscribers on our forum. It's just a little perk that you get with support, just helping support us and pay for testing equipment and other hardware that we need to continue producing the reviews that we do for you. Also, it's going to help fund our trip to Computex this year, which is going to be awesome. So the plan is that hopefully the 3Js, aka myself, John, Abophobia, so James, and Playful Phoenix, who is Joshua, we're all hoping to meet up in Taipei for Computex, which is going to be exciting. Just kind of expensive, so the more support we can get from the community, the more likely we'll have more people there, which means more content for the website as well for you to see and read, because, well, at last count, there are at least 55 booths that we have to go and see to cover all of the brands that usually have something in the way of small form factor products. That's not including any of the other niche stuff, so, I don't know, chargers or screens, desks, that kind of stuff. So we're hoping to put together 2 or 3 teams of people to go around, post or take tons and tons of photo, maybe even video, which is something we're going to be getting into this year. And yeah, it's exciting. Hey. It's a little one. Good riddance. Doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doo. Fake. Oopsie. Should be paying more attention. Right, so where was I? Talking about CES, yeah. So after Silverstone, we drew golf to a few other booths, which I'm trying to remember what order they're in. I believe ASRock was early on. That was an exciting one because just before the show we had a rep from ASRock join up to our forum and basically announce something that we were not expecting. Well, we were expecting, the community was not expecting at all, which is the Mini STX and MXM system, which is basically a really small little box, just larger than a Intel NUC or NUC, whatever, however you prefer to pronounce it. But it has a MXM slot, which is the way you get really good graphics on a laptop. So it's like it's a mobile graphics slot. So basically, it's going to enable something, gaming systems the size of, I'm trying to remember the size of it. The size of a tissue box, basically, which is very exciting because one of the admins, James, has been working on a sort of a modified version of something similar for a while on the forum. I was coming across power supply issues and this, that, the other. And then all of a sudden ASRock comes around and we've already done it for you. So we're hoping to have a closer look at that this year. Obviously I can't guarantee anything. It's fantastic that we've got manufacturers who are willing to take the risk on this, on the form factor and innovate in this way. Crap. That was disastrous. I think I might wait till the sun comes up. Won't be a moment, just double checking a couple of things. Just going back through our CES coverage, which is available on our website, smallformfactor.net, and just reminding myself on what order everything was covered. Hey, Ricochet. I see. So from the ASRock coverage, we saw a few of ASRock's AM4 motherboards. This is AMD's upcoming, overarching platform where it's all the CPUs and APUs will be on the same socket, which is still a PGA socket as always with AMD, which is subject to some people like it, some people don't. I'm not fussed, to be honest, but it's basically hopefully going to be a resurgence of AMD, so we might see a case of like it was back in the day when you could buy an AMD processor and an Intel processor and they'd be the same performance. And AMD had processors in the high end as well, which is something we haven't seen in quite some time. Which is a shame, because it means Intel, and this is controversial as well, may be resting on its laurels a wee bit and not producing new products that are an improvement over the last one. KB Lake, well, Intel's KB Lake being a prime example of that, which is has to be one of the more disappointing product launches recently. Although in saying that, it's still much better than the hype leading up to AMD's Bulldozer architecture, and then the reviews came out and it turned out to be utter crap. But this new platform, they're going to more of an Intel model, which is they will have processors with SMT, which is effectively a generic name for Intel's hyper-threading. And another way they're also going to this similar platform design, because the overclocking limitations on the boards will be limited by chipset, which is what Intel does with the Z series, or Z for the Americans. So there'll be I can't remember off the top of my head, but the X series chipset and the B series chipset will be overclockable, but the A series will not be. The A series being targeted at the cheaper kind of $30 to $50 or $80 motherboards, which probably, if you're really looking at it, you probably wouldn't want to overclock on anyway, because, well, the power design isn't there. You blow some VRMs like I have done before with my old pile driver processor. Whoops. So with launches so far, there is no micro ITX. There are no mini ITX motherboards on the platform yet. There will be apparently some at launch, is the last I heard. But there's only 3 manufacturers working on it. So a large, well, most of the top tier motherboard manufacturers are just waiting to see what the market does, which is kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because how can you tell what the market's doing if there's no products in that market? Someone needs to take the first step and bring back high performance AMD small form factor, because once they move to the AM3 Plus platform, we've been kind of stuck with only the APUs on FM2 on ITX, and that's it. Just a shame. So I'm sure I'm not the only one out there who wanted to put an FX 8350, 8150 on an ITX board. Interesting. My thoughts. Ricochet's asking my thoughts on the upcoming DC to ATX power supplies and the internal AC to DCs. It's, in my opinion, really exciting how much focus that part of the market's got at the moment. There's a couple major advantages of the form factor, where both heat generating portions of the power supply, so the AC to DC bit, which is going to where most of your I'll start again. The AC to DC bit is where most of the heat will be generated, because it's trying to knock down 110 or 220 volts down to 19 or 12 volts. So keeping that bit separate from the DC to DC, which is also going to generate heat, knocking that 19 volts down to 12, 5, 3.3, etc. So being able to move that around the case is great, because it means you're more likely to be able to run that stuff fanless, which means quiet. But it's interesting how we went from basically, you had the original Pico PSU, you had the Pico box ones came in afterwards, and then HD Plex, and then there's been nothing for a while, and then all of a sudden you got the G Unique, you got the Tour Metal, I think that's how you pronounce it. HD Plex is launching some new stuff soon. I believe there's some other stuff from Tour Metal and G Unique coming in. It's just interesting how it's suddenly kicked in, and it just gives you that flexibility in the like for your smaller builds, because you don't have just this huge lump of power supply anymore. It's you can split it into 2 sections and just fit it in where it's most efficient. I'm kind of hoping to build with one of the HDplex units this year, unless I can get my hands on a tour metal one, because they're just so cool looking. Whoopsie. Where was I with my previous conversations? AMD. Back in a moment. And I'm back. Sorry, I just had to turn the light on. It's sunset at the in New Zealand right now, so the light was fading. Not good for your eyes or something. I don't know. So the AMD platform, yeah, we're waiting on. Basically, there'll be 3 manufacturers launching Mini ITX at the launch of AM4, which is Ryzen, that. And that's slated for, well, the current rumors are saying March, possibly. And then we've got Vega, the graphics cards, coming in apparently May. See, I would have thought they'd do it like a 2 for, like, here's our graphics platform, here's our CPU platform, go for it. But there must be some reason behind it. Excuse me. The other interesting part of the CS AM4 boards is there was nothing micro ATX that was actually high end. It was your generic kind of mid-range ones with token VRM cooling, and that's about it. There's nothing really unique in the available boards, so no like strange using DDR3 slots as M.2 adapters like some of the ATX, well, one of the ATX boards is doing. I think it was the Maximus, possibly wrong. There's just no innovation, which is disappointing. Hello. Wade AK78, I think that's how you pronounce it. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because you seem to participate in pretty much every one of our streams, which is fantastic. And Nolan, hello. Also, probably pronouncing that wrong. I am sorry. Whoops. So yeah, as I said earlier, if you've got any questions or you want my viewpoint on anything, if you want me to talk about maybe if I've got any upcoming reviews, which actually, no, I don't really at the moment. There's the answer to that one. Just ask me questions. Not quite an ask me anything. But yeah. I can't ramble on for 2 or 3 hours by myself without some input. Although I'm sure someone I know would probably disagree with that. Hey Sol S, I think. What generates more heat typically with the internal AC to DCs? Those nearing peak wattage or those with twice or thrice the required wattage? It really depends on the efficiency, I think. You could have... I don't know, how would I put it? You could have a... I'll just use simple numbers here. A 100 watt power supply at 90% efficiency, or a 200 watt power supply at 95% efficiency, and they'd both put out the same heat, I would say. E.g. 70, 80 watt system using an 80 watt brick or 160 watt brick. I don't know. With electronics, it's kind of a hard one because there's like the AC to DC power supplies have efficiency bands where nearing peak they kind of drop out of their efficiency bands, but below their peak performance they also drop out of it. So the 80 watt brick might be most efficient at 70 watts and therefore put out the least heat, but the 160 watt brick might be well below its efficiency band and therefore putting out quite a bit of heat. But it's once again all relative. Like below the efficiency band, it might be putting out, say, it might be at 80% efficiency, but 80% efficiency on the 80 watts would be what, 10 or 15 watts of heat. Not a huge amount, but every watt counts in our systems. To be honest, with what I've built in the past, I would probably recommend for not going near the not being so close to peak wattage on a power supply, just because you will occasionally hit peaks or some surges in power consumption, and the R9 Nano graphics card is, well, infamous for this one, where it's rated a certain wattage, but it'll pull far more than that when it spikes, which is enough to the previous generation of AC to DC power converters, be it external or internal, we're not particularly good at coping with. This generation looks to be a lot more reliable in such things, which is great. I think the R9 Nano did teach us all a bit of a lesson in power consumption and power design, basically. But even the DC to DC side, you've got to make sure you have a sufficient one, because I've burnt out a Pico PSU before, just because it was an 80 watt unit, I was running 80 watts on it, and after a while with limited airflow, just went, I don't want to work anymore, and the system shut down. It's like, great, thanks. I believe this was probably a first gen, or probably a rip-off of a first generation Pico PSU power design, so it wasn't particularly efficient. So what's interesting was there at Computex. So looking forward to Computex. I keep referring to Computex instead of CES. CES, lots of RGB again, which is to be expected. I mean, we saw the start of it last year, and this year we've got everything down to RGB fan grills, and what next? Next year we've got like RGB microphones, and I don't know. I mean, it's great that they're doing this kind of stuff, but it's all, excuse my French, but half-assed in the implementation, where the controller is either clunky or oversized or inefficient. The software support's pretty minimal. Like, I believe, I can't remember what brand it was, but their RGB solution required you to download an Android app. So if you're one of those people who don't run an Android phone, actually I think it was Android and iOS, and if you had a Windows phone like I used to, you'd be screwed. It's a bit silly considering you've got an entire computer there to plug the USB into. Why don't you just plug it into that? Yep, go away. Burn. You like the reasons behind the RGB fangirl? That's a good point. I mean, it does offer, like, what's the word for it? It offers flexibility in modding and stuff like that. So you've got... I'm all for people picking and choosing what they want to build. So just because I don't like RGB doesn't mean everyone else shouldn't have RGB in their case. I mean, feel free. The only people I judge are the people who run ATX systems when they don't need to. But I might be slightly biased on that one. Indeed, I think most of this small form factor stuff is it started with modding a lot because the ITX boards came out. You had these generic little beige box cases thanks to VIA, and then you had people like Slippery Skip and John Hanlon and whatnot just putting them into weird like old radios. And I think John Hanlon originally did like one in an old little toy washing machine and stuff like that. And from there we learnt how to move the form factor around and put things in certain places to make it work, and we've managed to get smaller but more efficient. And then we looked at the server world and got the graphics card risers and worked off those, and then we've got that means we've got the console style cases like the S4 Mini or the even the Node 202. I blanked on that one. But without modding, and I mean, in a way, our forum, like the forum community with all the case designers, was formed out of modding. So people scratch built their own cases or scratch designed their own cases. I want to share this with the world. I might as well sell this to people who maybe don't have the time or the skills to do this, but want something that's almost custom. It's crazy to think how many, like at the moment, how many different case projects there are going on in the forum. Just people designing their own products, and then you've got the people who are then go next generation. Quick off-topic question. Looking forward to the Nintendo Switch. I don't know anything about it. I don't pay attention to the console world much. I don't even have a television. Sorry. And what am I there? I'll try that again. In your experience, what has been the most flexible or usable SATA data? That sounds funny. Connector brand for small form factor builds. It's hard to say because I kind of cheap out on SATA cables, which I know I really shouldn't. But I kind of just used what comes in the box with motherboards or what I find in like OEM builds and stuff like that. And to be honest, the best ones that I found were out of OEM systems. So the short ones out of HP and Dell small form factor systems, or even the Xbox 360. The little optical data cable was tiny right angles on both sides. It had the right angle of the right angle, or left angle, or whatever. From what I've seen outside of like the ones you can buy separately, I believe Silverstone did quite a lot of one range of sort of slimmer cable ones, which would be quite good. I have yet to get my hands on them. The range here in New Zealand's kind of limited in regards to these the more niche products. So you want a SATA cable? Well, too bad. Your motherboard came with 4. Deal with it. Yeah, I've got my current. I'm currently built in a in-win case, and the SATA cables are out of that oversized HP system that I got that ITX board out of, and they've got right angle on both ends and 2 centimeter long SATA cable. That's 8 centimeters shorter than the Xbox one. Interesting. But I think because we can't, it's not a cable that we can custom make. I think finding these alternative sources for them are quite good. Because I found a while ago I did a build where the Xbox 360 cable was the exact length I needed, and I just had it sitting in a box. I don't know, I can't remember where that cable is now, but it was definitely handy then. To be honest, I am looking forward to the rise of M.2 and not having to deal with SATA cables at all. It's 2 less cables in the case, which is nice. Excuse me. I'm close to actually just picking up a what's the word for it? Hoping to get my hands on one of the Silverstone dual M.2 cards and use that for my storage on my workstation. Unless AM4 ITX comes out with M.2 on it, which then I'll be over the moon. Where am I at for this wall? Oh, Jordan is right. That's quite a sizable wall. Whoops. Sketch this one out. Oops. Right, CS, what else was there? Well, we had the usual stuff from brands like Cooler Master. Thermaltake previewed the Engine 37, which is 10 millimeters taller than the Engine 27, which is the cooler based off the Sandia technology. Although I would like to get my hands on one just to see how close it is to the original design. So the Engine 37 looks like it's a copper variant, which is great. It's taller, which means, well, less compatibility, but more cooling, which means it might run a little bit quieter, because the general consensus on the forum is that it's not particularly quiet in operation. But once again, that's what's the word for it? It might be personal opinion on things. Like what I consider a quiet computer might be very loud to someone else. Besides for marketing branding purposes, there's really any reason to keep a 2.5-inch SSD in the case. Would run cooler and more form factor friendly space-wise. I think it's just to continue using a 2.5-inch mount in your case, or designing them in, is purely for compatibility reasons. A lot of cheaper motherboards, or people who are still holding on to older motherboards, don't have the luxury of M.2 drives. Like myself, my FM2 ITX board does not have an M.2 slot. My current micro ATX board doesn't have one either. A lot of the lower end ITX boards don't have them, so I think for now it's probably best to keep at least one just for compatibility. I suppose then you just don't buy the case if it doesn't support your hardware. But we're getting to the point where even in New Zealand, which we're in the middle of, well, we're at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, everything gets the shipping, huge shipping cost increases on them. But we're getting to the point where M.2 drives are almost comparable in price per gigabyte as 2.5 inch SATA drives. So it's definitely feasible. Oh, you meant to say keep the solid state drive in itself in its original casing. Oh, okay. I thought you meant an actual case. To be honest, no, I can't think of anything, because you can buy the cheaper solid state drives which are just in plastic casing, so it's not like it's a EMI or MF concern. I mean, the solid state drive that this Minecraft server is running on right now is in a plastic case rather than a metal case. So to be honest, apart from maybe protecting it from shorts, which you've got the same issue with motherboard anyway, or graphics card, I don't see any reason to keep it in the casing. Considering a lot of the solid state drives are like half the length, if that, of the actual casing. One second. Just getting a link for the chat. I'm gonna find the right one. When you've got solid state drives that are like that on the inside, it kind of defeats the purpose. And I mean, imagine how much less space that takes up in a custom build just by having the board bare. Mine glitch, yep. I just realised I just went one up on the wall, and I'm going to have to fix the whole thing now. Who is that modded a solid state drive to be half length? I don't know. I don't actually remember seeing that. I have seen it where people have just stripped the cases off them and mounted them in their case with like double-sided foam tape. I mean, it is really dependent on the solid state, the drive. Like I've taken apart, I think it was an OCZ Vertex that the PCB was in, like filled up the entire of the inside, so that kind of wouldn't work. But if you got one that's as tiny as the one I linked in the chat, which I will try and remember to put in the thread, it just seems to waste space, doesn't it? I think the interesting side of the storage thing is that we're coming across the point where we can get like a 240 gig SSD on just a controller and a single NAND chip. So there's no point having them this size. Maybe we could get down to like a, I don't know, 1.5 inch form factor or something. Or something that isn't in inches, because inches are old school, and I mean, the rest of the world doesn't use them. Oops. Ricochet says that's why other hardware like power supplies and graphics cards need to catch up in sizing with storage and motherboards. That is so true. I think with the AC to DC and DC to DC power supplies we're getting closer. Be nice if we could get like the DC to DC bits like embedded in the motherboards. I can understand some reason why we don't, but I think the graphics card's probably going to be the hardest bit, because a lot of the time the company like Nvidia and AMD focus on getting as much performance out of the cards as possible, and that means more heat. So even with like better process nodes and better architecture and stuff like that, instead of knocking the heat down, they just put the performance up. So I mean, something like say for example an underclocked Polaris RX 480 would probably run really cool. Almost passive. Although I am considering looking at the passive, I know it's last generation R7 250? R7 240, the passive one, which looks really nice. Yeah, MXM is exciting. I'm wondering if we get to the point where it kind of slots into the back of a ITX motherboard and cases are designed to cope with that, and you got a heatsink on the side or something. Maybe it's just this. I think designing for that would be quite difficult, though. Just checking messages, don't mind me. I think a while ago the dream on our IRC chat between, I think it was myself, Jord and Gull Acoustic, the dream was like a second socket on a motherboard entirely dedicated to a graphics chip. So you kind of had an extra couple of RAM slots for graphics and thing, and a socket for your graphics chip. And I don't think it's particularly feasible, but it's a nice dream. You see grounds of stone. Sorry, just getting a couple of messages. Need to find some coal. Yes, I realise this isn't the most efficient way of finding coal, but I need the stone as well. In regards to graphics, I think one of the more exciting things this year is what will we see in regards to AM4 APUs? Will we see Polaris spec graphics inside an APU? Maybe a 4+4, a 4-core 8-thread APU with, say, an RX 460 equivalent in it? I think it'll be interesting to see. And keep Intel on their toes, although in saying that Intel has licensed graphics architecture stuff from AMD. However, if I remember rightly, it's not... Then they haven't actually licensed the architecture. What they've done is they've licensed the instruction sets. Instead of paying NVIDIA for it, they're paying AMD for it instead. It's just a slightly different way of doing it, but it's just an interesting way of doing it. I think the APU architecture in general is... Why am I filling that in? I'm going to mine that out later. The APU architecture in general is actually quite exciting. And it's great for small form factor because it means no expansion card. I mean, just imagine a mini STX board with that APU that I described just before on it. It'd blow, like, performance per litre would blow most things out of the water. Can't wait for the days of completely wireless connections for both power and data, especially peripherals. Yeah, one of my many projects this year, because I have many, and that's, I suppose some will make interesting articles, is reducing my wires, the amount of wires that I have sitting on my computer desk, which is going to be a challenge because I do run triple screen. But going wireless keyboard or mouse is easy. Going wireless internet is easy. Dipsy. How much coal did I get? 21. Okay, go get some stone cooking. So these streams that I'm doing, unlike, well, James Aberphobia is going to be doing just mostly designy ones. I'm probably going to intersperse game ones with design ones and whatnot. But it will most likely be a regular thing. So it just gives us more ways to interact with you guys, because you guys are awesome. Oops. Die. Nothing defeats small form factor more than the rat's nest coming out of a sub 10 litre rig. I've got a 12 litre rig that's got a rat's nest in it. Hey, laptops are about as small form factor as you can get. It's just kind of cheaty. Oops, wrong way. Hi, Jay. How's it going? Speaking of triple screen, having something similar to Razer's stolen, the Valerie. Yes, it was the Valerie. Yeah, I saw something about that being stolen. Apparently it popped up on, I think it was the Chinese equivalent of eBay briefly, and then got taken down. The issue I have with that is the moment you start going triple screen, you're basically tethered to a wall anyway, so what is the point of having a laptop? Oh, fuck. Sorry, excuse my language. It's on a dock and hooked up to a monitor, 2 external hard drives, Ethernet keyboard and mouse, and a scanner. Yeah, that's not portable anymore. When saying that, laptops do give you that flexibility to go out and do things like I'm going to have to source myself a laptop for Computex this year, so we can actually do some writing and editing on the go. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was going around this way. Because my camera does not do the Wi-Fi thing, so I have to connect it up to something, and I can't use my phone for that. That's a big hole. Ah, shit. So I've got a question for the people who have joined us in the chat on YouTube. The question is, what do you think the most exciting tech of 2016 is? Is it the Mini STX with MXM? Is it the AC to DC stuff? Is it the AM4? Is it the Intel 200 series chipsets? What are your thoughts? Or is there something that you'd love to see come out this year that is a possibility? AC to DC. Excuse me. So I've got AC to DC, AM4, power supply, Seagate super tiny M.2 drive. Pico held us hostage for a decade. Now there are some real players offering quality options. That is so true. Although the Pico form factor is good because it's just that many less wires. That does, because of its size, you are limited by wattage. I think the highest I've seen that is 200 watt. So here's a related question. Would you like to see James do some AC to DC and DC to DC power supply reviews to complement the SFX ones that he's been doing? Because I'm sure we might be able to line a couple of those up. Pico should offer some slightly larger 19 volt models, 250 to 300 watt. Yeah, I think there's probably just enough room around the AT, especially with 24 pin. You should be able to get a few more watts, especially with the new, was it Galleon? No. The GAN chemistry of the new semiconductors and stuff like that, we should be able to get high wattage Pico style. Fire stone again. You'd like to see James get some good testing stuff. So would I. The problem is the proper load testers that stuff like sites like Johnny Guru use cost about $5,000 plus training. Sorry, all the messages going off at once. 1 second. No, 5,000 American. I don't know, if we went into conversion rates, it'd be what, 5,000 American and what, about 6,500 New Zealand dollars, which is a lot of money. The keyboard sounds are so coming. Sorry. Yeah, in case you're wondering, if you hear keyboard sounds in the usual podcasts, it's generally me. And it's not a mechanical keyboard. One and out. So, continuing the discussion, CS and stuff like that. Speaking of which, there's one area that's growing keyboards. Yes, the lot of innovation. I think one of the Cherry keys that was exclusive to Corsair is now available to all manufacturers, which is nice. Lots of different technologies coming through. I'm looking at probably going mechanical this year, because right now I'm using a, and anyone who's worked retail anyone who's worked retail would understand this. It's an IBM keyboard, but it's a rubber dome one, but it's still, for some reason, really loud. And I worked in a store that used them for probably 8 years, and I kind of got really used to using this particular style keyboard. So I'm continuing to use them. One of the advantages is I can pick it up off our local, the equivalent of Craigslist or eBay, for $5 a keyboard in pretty much brand new condition. Just fantastic. It's just not quite mechanical. I think I was looking at cherry browns as a next step. Kind of like some Dell rubber domes. Yeah, they've somehow blended. Oh shit! Sorry. They've kind of blended the rubber dome architecture with. I don't know what they've done inside it, but they're more clicky than they should be for rubber dome. As you can hear by the keyboard. There's a creeper at my door. Sorry about that. Just wish that hand tracking for PC input would progress faster. Yeah, for a lot of people that will work. Me, not so much. My hand-eye, not my hand-eye coordination. My fine motor control isn't where it should be, thanks to an accident I had a few years ago. Rubber domes are good for controllers. I'm iffy with them on keyboards. Yeah, I can agree with that. And yeah, heavy actuation force. Right, wonder if that creeper's gone yet. Oh, there's a couple of them there. Just waiting for me. So 2017 seems to be the year of the project for our forum, because a lot of guys have started new ones. So we've got James, who's doing his one second. Forgot how to pronounce it now. The Chile based one. The Jolokia. That's probably wrong. I believe Playful Phoenix or Joshua's got a project planned at some point. I'm going to build something custom, hopefully. It just seems quite a lot of like really cool custom stuff coming up, and new case designs, and really exciting. The creativity in the community, like it's something. It's not just the creativity; it's the intelligence in being able to work within the confines of our form factor and make things more efficient than anyone else has. It's just crazy how it's crazy how smart some of the people on our forum are. Actually, pretty much all of the people on our forum are incredibly intelligent people. Can I get out yet? Yay! I'll take that back. I don't get the logic of being able to pick up an arrow that's on fire, but I'll just roll with it. So the next stream that I'll be doing, it will probably be a design one. Now, I'm not as good as Abophobia or actually pretty much most of the CAD guys on the forum, but I'll give it a good shot. Just kind of sketch up a rough idea what I want to do with my build this year. So it'll probably be kind of a, I don't know, in a way it's slippery skip inspired, so an Art Deco inspired computer system. Something a bit retro looking. Oh, what's the word for it? Diesel punk. I quite like that style. Oh. Probably be ITX again, as because I can. But I will be going AC to DC and DC to DC, the split units from probably HDplex, just to give me that little bit extra flexibility in design and actually and one less fan, because as I'm sure you guys are well aware, listening to some of the podcasts in the past, the fan noise from my system is a little extreme at times. Crap. So in the interests of providing better content for our community, I'll go for a quieter system. That's the only reason, honestly. A lot of the forums are not only intelligent but have great enthusiasm and sense about it. Yes, like I expected, like even when we hit 500 users, we'd start getting the trolls in, or the people who are just throwing opinions out there without justifying them, and you know, the usual forum people. Keyboard warriors, I think is the term for them, and we don't have any yet, and we're over 1,000 users. It's fantastic. Ow. Yeah, having a niche does help fight that, because people are on the forum for the express reason of learning and expanding their knowledge in a certain niche. They're there for a reason. It's not your generic computer forums like Hard Forum, OCN, BitTech. People are on there just for whatever and think, why do I have two swords? Good question. Oh, one of them has mend on it, so if I use it if every time I kill a mob, it mends itself. The problem being is if I use this sword to hit the mobs, I end up doing as much damage as I gain from it. So if I use this one to hit the mobs, it enables the other one to heal, mend if I've got it in my offhand. So like this. It also looks kind of cool. But we have you can modify mob spawners on the map and turn them into farms, and you can farm XP or farm experience, or in this case farm mending. I think that's got mending on it, 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 that one does too. So yeah, it is a sacrificial sword in a way. But the mend enchantment on these things is fantastic, especially when you go and find stuff like these elytra, which there's only ever a limited amount on the map, and you have to go through the end to get it, and it's all a pain in the butt and difficult to find. And I didn't want to lose mine, so I got the mend thing on it, and I can now heal it, which is great, because this is because this is the Minecraft server that we have for our subscribers. So if you are a gold subscriber and wish to join in, just flick me a private message on the forum and I can get you set up. But the world is entirely survival, so if something breaks or you lose it, too bad, it's gone. So that's one of the cool things that Jordan has set up on our Minecraft server, because Jordan is our admin. Where our IRC server and during the podcast our Discord server are actually all linked together, so one message will go to everywhere. So you can be, when you're listening to us record the podcast, you can actually play Minecraft and see all of it and participate. So just 1 second, I'm just going to pour myself a drink. And I'm back. There's Garl Acoustic, who is a very active member on the forum, and he's actually the person that gave me this particular bow and arrow, or this particular bow. So another question for the community, since I'm asking you guys as much as you're asking me. What would you like to see on the next stream that I do? So it'll probably be a couple of weeks away. Would you like me to play more Minecraft? Should I play a bit of Team Fortress 2? To do some design stuff on SketchUp? I can't write articles and talk to you guys at the same time because of, NDAs and stuff like that, but there are the other options. You don't know if you've been whitelisted? No, you haven't, I don't think. You gotta PM me. And I can't do it right now because reasons. Design stuff? Okay. Actually, 1 second. I will whitelist. I'll get Locomoto on. 1 second. Just, this is till I remember, because or else I'm going to forget about it and I get distracted. That's a worry. It appears that we've set it up in a certain way that I need to log into the admin console, which means I can't do it right now. Sorry. I'll try and remember and get you set up. Ah, taking a different username. Great. One more time. I'll just give this a shot. That one. Ah, okay, it worked now. OBS, back to that. Oops, wrong button. And we're back. There you go, you can pop on now. So just remember, it is a survival only server, but either myself or Jordan are usually around to give you a hand if you need it. So yeah, that's available for anyone who is a gold subscriber on the forum. You also get access to the Discord while we do our podcast, and our IRC channel, which is great for just, well, shooting the breeze, basically. Instead of cluttering up the forum with our rants, we can just do it in IRC. Oops, I was doing something. Finish outlining this wall. So yeah, I think 2017 is going to be quite exciting for our little community, just with all the product launches, some of the opportunities that are available to us this year. I mean, all going well, we'll be able to go to Computex to complement. I wonder how many PC cases from CS would fit a mini fridge and a microwave in it. Probably about half the stuff on the displays. I mean, we didn't have the... Drew didn't take any pictures of the big cases for obvious reasons. I mean, it's a waste of space on the memory card, but he did say there were quite a few. And I like looking through the other websites' coverage of things, it's just like, why is this even a thing? Why do people think it's a great idea to have something that you can monitor? You can mount 2 monitors to the side of it, almost. Unfortunately, for years and years and years, the mantra of bigger is better has been drummed into the brains of the gamers and the workstation people and that kind of stuff, and it's kind of stuck. A better question is, how many cases can fit in a microwave? Well, at CS, not very many. On our forum, probably quite a few. So I think my microwave, I could probably fit 5 of the mini S4s in it. S4 mini, sorry. Which would be awesome. I wish I could have just one, but in time. Ah, there's stuff in here. Cool. Another question for the community, since I'm thinking about it. There are a few CPU, well, because I do the testing of the cases and the CPU cores, the cases to avoid conflict of interest with Chimera, and which I have no affiliation with, and the coolers because, well, they're cool. We've been testing on an AMD APU platform just for cheap heat, basically. But there are quite a few coolers out there that are limited to... Where am I going? They're limited to Intel platforms only, so like the Thermaltake Engine 2737, a few of the all-in-one coolers, or closed-loop coolers and stuff like that. So I'm currently in the process of setting up a Intel-based, so it's an i3-based thermal test rig. The question is, for future reviews, if a cooler can support both the AMD and Intel platforms, would you like to see both results, or should we just keep it to the single system, so just the Intel system, and I can retire the APU rig? Keep in mind that testing takes quite some time for each platform, because slowly working on the testing methodology where I do 5 different mounts of the cooler and do a 20-minute blend run in between to heat it up, and then take the average. No coal. Also wondering if I should stream on Beam next time, because just wondering how delayed the YouTube is. Which I could probably test that. So I've got about a 15-second delay in it. Casper says, it's difficult to say there are arguments for doing the low TDP and there are arguments for the high TDP, and there are thereby arguments for doing both. Well, the low TDP is generally more relevant to our community because most of us run probably 65-watt processors because we obviously have smaller cases. The testing on a higher TDP processor basically tests the cooler to the extremes. Therefore, if it can cope with a 95 or 125 watt processor, it can definitely cope with your 65 or 35. But it's just trying to find that balance between what people want and time and what I have access to. Like in the future, I would love to just set up a basically a, I don't know, best way to do it would be probably just a heat pad or a heat block or something like that, a thermally controlled one where I can set the TDP and test it on that, and it's platform agnostic. I can modify it to suit any mounting system and I have full control over it, but that's way in the future. Because the advantage to that particular setup would be that, well, each CPU thermal probe is different. Even in the same, like, your 7700K might have a different accuracy on the thermal probe as someone else's 7700K. So it's trying to find that balance between accuracy and efficiency. Speaking of cooling, I really wish more manufacturers would come out with graphics cards coolers, aftermarket ones. Where am I going? got myself lost. Chips are getting low and low TDP wise. Wonder where they'll be at with Cannon Lake under 40 to 45 watt for the i7s. I'm not sure. Cannon Lake will really, as far as I can see it, will depend on how AMD does with Ryzen. If AMD can give Intel a fright and basically make them realize they need to improve their performance, we probably will just continue to see 95 watt or 80 watt i7s, but they'll be higher clocked and higher IPC. If Ryzen turns out to be what's the word for it? If it turns out to be a dud, we probably will see lower wattage i7s next generation. This is on top of the usual U and T products where you've got the reduced TDP anyway, but with that you get reduced clock speeds. Specific card there, 1080 mini, yeah. Not that I can afford a 1080 mini, but yeah. 20 watt decrease from the hexacore. Yeah, that would make sense. The problem is like trying to figure out reduction because you've got stuff like the schedulers and stuff like that still use the same amount of power, and yeah. I think we're going to get to the point where the platform controller hubs are actually going to be using more power than the actual CPUs. Which, funny enough, I've actually got a board sitting in front of me that's like that. It's a first generation Atom system. The Atom itself is a 1.6 with single core with hyperthreading. It's 9 watts. The chipset is 27 watts. Have a good night, Nolan. That's just kind of weird that the big cooler on the board is for the chipset. I'm still waiting for the day, and I thought it was going to happen a while ago with the APUs of the convergence of the mobile and desktop platforms. So being able to buy a laptop grade i7 to put on your desktop board, and therefore having the reduced TDP and whatnot. I know there are some industrial boards that allow you to do it. Back in the Socket 478 and Core 2 Duo mobile era, it was quite common. Even I ran one based on a HP Slimline board, but it's just they kind of split apart again. It's disappointing. Right, no crap, creep it, asshole. Pretty amazing performance per watt for the really low TDP Intels. Yes, it is. It's just like over the past 5 years, it's been interesting how tight they've got them down to low TDPs, but still decent clock speeds. Might be a stupid question, but there are thin ITX and STX motherboards running hotter and more power hungry than an ITX. But are there thin ITX? I'm not sure. We're still seeing the emergence of the STX. Thin ITX actually has, by design, a 35 watt? Either 35 watt or 65 watt TDP limit, which is limited by the fact that because the components used, the VRMs are necessarily smaller. STX, I would expect the same, but I'm sure that the likes of ASRock would probably be able to spec something higher, so you would be able to chuck, say, to use the same example again, the i7 7700K and an STX board. Oops, forgot to put a light in there, didn't I? I did. So just a reminder that James or Aberphobia has a stream on tomorrow in about 30. Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock now. So about 13 hours, he's going to be, if I remember rightly, continuing the design of the small form factor eGPU case. Actually, no, he's not. He's doing his PC design. He's doing something. Sorry. So he'll be on here. He'll be on Beam tomorrow streaming, and afterwards the video should be available on this channel. So please, if you haven't already, please subscribe. Or is this where I say, if you like this video, please flick us a like and subscribe and share or something. 13 hours from now is like 11 PM here. 13 hours. No, it's 11 AM my time, if I remember rightly. I know there's a event planner thing on his streaming thread under the video sub forum on our forum. Hey, Garlicoustic's back. Hey. So Garlicoustic and Jordan are the two other main Minecraft players. You usually find one of us or two of us online at the same time. So if you have a look down the bottom right corner of the map of this, you will see the map that we've built. We're working on. So we've got a few villages. There's a nether portal, nether transportation hub, lots of mines, of course. Where am I? Don't forget to check out sponsor Squarespace. Yeah, funny that one. Let's see if this goes weird, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to enlarge the map in the corner and just show you guys a few things. OBS. Let's see how that goes. Hey, it works. Awesome. So this is the village that I'm currently putting walls around. So this is our dynamic map. This is a plugin that we've had on our Minecraft server back before we joined up with SFF forum. But this is a relatively new map. But we use this as like a I'm lost, help me find where I am kind of deal. I've got quite a lot of dead space in there, and then this is one of our other walled villages. This is one that Jordan did. I got that one, and then we've got the original village and my bone house, which doesn't show up properly, but it's made entirely out of bone because reasons. And of course, we've got the logo. A few other builds scattered throughout the map, but those are the prominent ones at the moment. Since we're playing survival, it's important for us to keep the villages going, because then we have trading and we have maps and that kind of stuff, and resources and farming, and so we kind of protect them. As time goes on, we'll probably like build our own structures, like my bone house and stuff like that. And back to that one. Probably just digging into a mountain. Well, you dig into a mountain, I can dig into the ground. Because one of my plans for this particular village is going all capitalist and doing a pit mine. Hence this giant hole. But at some point I will have to be creative and put like mining equipment, like build mining equipment in it and that kind of thing, because that's what I do. So a lot of people play Minecraft for the, like, just, how to put it, being creative and building houses, or the experience of like surviving and stuff like that. I generally play it for building infrastructure, and I don't know why I find it enjoyable, but I do. So our previous map that we had, all of our builds were connected by roads, and with the help of Galactistic and Jordan, we had, I think, a total of 15 kilometers. So I don't know what that is in miles, but 15 kilometers worth of roads, but just hand built on the map. No real assistance from stuff like World Edit. About 9 miles. You play it for Casper plays it for hoarding and surviving in tree plantations. Awesome. It's one of those games that you can play in multiple different styles, and that's probably why I like it. I mean, I picked up my copy of Minecraft in early 2011. So I've been playing it for 12. What am I doing? I've been playing it for 6 years now. And I've definitely, because I bought it originally when it was, I think it was $20 US, because it was just after the original alpha phase. And I've definitely got my money's worth out of it so far. Anything else from CS? Oh, just like recapping some of the stuff from CS. The fact that Drew got to speak from Raja from ASUS for 3 hours just about small form factor stuff and keeping him interested was just so cool, that he is willing to learn about this kind of stuff and he's interested in this kind of stuff. Like he just found the regular ATX stuff boring, and like he ignored YouTube celebrities coming in and reviewing, like having a look at his products, where he'd rather stand there and talk to Drew and I'm sorry, I've forgotten his name, the other person that had met up with Drew at CS, and just sitting there for 3 hours talking about small form factor stuff. I think it was awesome. I think it's kind of a sign as to where the designers are going as well. They want the challenge. They want to build something smaller, faster, more efficient. I just kind of, in a way, if the Computix thing works out for all of us, I kind of feel sorry for the reps at Computix, because they can have all three of us, James, Joshua, and I, in their ear talking about small form factor stuff. It's gonna be a huge case of "you're doing it wrong." What else happened at CS? A huge case. What? A huge case of you doing it wrong. Yeah, pretty much. It is a huge case of them doing it wrong. Ironic, I know, but I'm going to ask another question of the community, since it seems to be the trend is more me asking you questions than vice versa this time. Unless you guys have got questions, feel free to ask them. I mean, that's why I'm here, being accessible to the community, that kind of stuff. With both James and I doing these streams, so James doing his design ones, me doing my blend of design and gaming ones, would you like to see like one every second weekend from us? So I do one weekend and then James does the next weekend, and so on. Or would you like us to do the same, like basically like we're doing it this weekend, where I'm doing this tonight and then in 12 hours time James is doing his one? What's your preference? Because I will probably not be able to do a stream next weekend, but the following weekend I will. Trying to optimize the optimizing the content for our community, because that's what we do. All at once approach. Okay. I mean, if I can stream more often, I will. And is there any other kind of content that you'd like? Like, if I could set up a camera rig, would you like to watch me doing cooler testing, or would that be and answer questions at the same time? Only for products. This would only be available for products that are already released. So if I was to get a sample of a Thermaltake Engine 27 or something like that, or some other product that's already on the market. If it was a product that had yet to be released, that ain't happening, I'm sorry. Yep. Bloody hell. Go dump some stuff. And the life is SCF testing. Well, in a way it'll help me fill the monotony of sitting there waiting 20 minutes for a cooler test to happen. Because that's does get a little boring. Who pushed for the business card idea for CS? That was kind of a combined thing, because it gave us the opportunity to get our name out there to manufacturers. We were all thinking like generic kind of plain business cards, but it was Drew that decided on the really extra fancy ones. But yeah, he did comment that a few of the suppliers a few of the manufacturer reps were like, this is a really nice business card, and it put it in their mind that we were different. As if the Drew standing there talking to them for half an hour each about small form factor didn't show them that we're different. I think it was kind of like almost about selling ourselves to these manufacturers as well as much as having a look at the products that they had available. Because the more that we, in a way, sell ourselves to these manufacturers, the more stuff that we get to test and the more stuff that we can show to you guys, but from the small form factor perspective instead of the generic gold, oh, this is too small, it doesn't work kind of review that you see on other websites. And I say one thing that about the effort that went in, and I can't say much more about it. It worked. Heard about someone who carries her networking cards. Yeah, I suppose they're networking cards in a way. But yeah, the whole going to CS and networking with all these companies and stuff like that has paid off. Some exciting, really, really exciting stuff is coming up, but I can't say anything more than that. Sorry. What are you doing down here? Oh, you're a cartographer. I'll protect you. Yes, I realise I just trapped a villager in a hole. Deal with it. The cartographers are very important when we want to do the that's why. There's new features in 1.11, so woodland mansions and stuff like that, which you can only find with the help of a cartographer map. And zombies have a habit of killing villagers, so that's the way we protect them. They also like to wander off because, yeah, they're pains in the butt. Right. So we're coming up on 2 hours now. I'm going to call it quits soon. So if you've got any last questions for me that you want to ask me now, go for it. If not, just message me on the forum, ask me in the threads in the forum. I'm available quite often, quite a lot of the time. Well, I'm going to call it quits now. Thank you very much for joining me. I was Confusis, aka John, or the other way around, I suppose. Feel free to contact me on the forum, join in the forum. All the links are below. Thank you to those who joined us live or those who have watched after the fact, although I can imagine it would probably be quite boring after the fact. Sorry. And good night. Thank you.